it's not a question, is rather having an experience of building a local agenda. And it wasn't a question because I don't work in research. I'm not an academic. I don't work with research questions. That's not how I operate. The way I operate is in experiences. And that was a context. It wasn't the first context, but it was a context where I could participate in a process of creating a common neighborhood agenda.
To be honest, I don't think I had any major questions from the very beginning of the project, but along the process of being part of this team and of this academic research, I think one of my major questions was how will I be able to have relevant academic input into neighborhood communities.
The main question which is leading my professional life is how we can forge connections between academic research, cultural practices, and civic action in order to reinforce the role of universities and museums as multi-purpose community service institutions dedicated to making a more democratic society.
The central question for me has remained all this time, how to bridge better the social and the spatial disciplines on the one hand. The second one was how to actually look at the multiplicity of methods and to actually investigate a space and a community in let's say, very even beyond interdisciplinary forms, maybe transdisciplinary forms.
Two things I was very curious about. First, it was how anthropology finds its applicability in everyday life, and how can I apply the theory I learned at the master's degrees in a real-life project. And the second one, it was if coming from different disciplines and different life experience, professional experiences, we can still work together in one team.
The project was very much designed in order to help me and everybody actually to figure out how you can establish a living lab in Bucharest. The very concrete and pragmatic question was how to do that, how to embrace this new role and how to help more the local communities, being in the university and having access to all this knowledge, but also having access to all this energy and having access to the future professionals. And what do you have as seeds in the ethics of the new professionals?
What I now see, so this is in retrospect, while in the project I only had intuitions. Now I also have a language for systems change. So this is me answering now in retrospect. I think the possibility it has to change something in the system is a proof of a value, in the sense that it can prove that citizens working side by side with other civil actors can create an outcome, in this case a neighborhood plan, and that they can be partners for local administration and even for businesses maybe.
So what I've learned is that there is no good or bad answers to what's wrong or right in a community, in a given community, urban community. I've learned that there's a real need of collaborative knowledge about the studied area in order to produce space transformation and real impact.
To clarify the research question, which is leading my entire professional career, and which is how to craft community outreach and service programs which are able to reach people from vulnerable groups to get them acquainted to and comfortable in the spaces of a museum or in the spaces of intellectual pursuits around art and around questions which address directly the environment and the space that we live in.
For instance, when we talk about working in a neighborhood in which there's no clear common agenda, where there's no civic initiative group. We thought originally that the outcome of working in a group like this with engaged anthropology, with working with an NGO like CERE, will be that we'll identify and create a civic initiative group. We thought that that this is the somehow a universal panacea answer. But what we saw is that not everywhere this form of community organization works. We talk about the European project, but we are talking first and foremost about different contexts that have very different histories and different sociologies of actors. So the key thing is, maybe the answer is to understand the context more.
In the University of Architecture and Urban Planning, I have a course on institutional setup for sustainable development. And lots of examples are from abroad. So for me, we through the Urban Education Live activities in Bucharest, and not only, in Romania, with cases that were presented in the symposium in 2018, I found solid knowledge and examples to be presented to my students. The project application was designed around figuring out how to help more local communities. So it's about the new roles of the university in relationship to the relevance of the academia to local communities. We found out that the university is very well placed in order to help bottom up reach top down. So it's very well placed to be in between grass level and decision making from the local authorities. And we have the means to translate ideas from grassroots into some sort of format that is relevant for decision makers, such as chief architect in the municipality, or vice mayor, or mayor, or people from various departments in the local authority.
It is a question that I'm refining, and I'm trying to find a specific answer to. So far, the answer I have is I'm at the point where I want to invest in infrastructures that support collaboration on the long term. And one of those infrastructures that I'm working on now is a community of practitioners called Communitarians Network. It's an informal network of people working in community, for community, with communities, local communities mostly, that come from very different disciplines and have different professional roles.
The UEL experience was like a Rubik cube for me, because the main asset of the research context was being able to switch perspectives and find a common view with the other perspectives of the other disciplines involved in the project, but in the same time to have a different look on a given layer of analyze, whatever that was. So this was a process that rearranged my priorities in the way I'm doing research.
Was to help me develop my ability to identify, collaborate with, and coordinate the work of professionals from various fields, and also by taking students outside into the real world and helping them bridge what they learn in school and what they can do out there in the messy and complex realities of our cities.
I realized that through teaching, you can really, in every generation, there will be some people who will be inspired. The ambition is actually is the process as well, and to see the transformation in some people, again, people get inspired, but also in the process being disseminated, of being a little cog in a larger system.
And after this project, when I started as kind of a scientific translator, let's call it, for the community, I went then to a project catalyst, but then I got inspired to continue my studies at the doctoral school. And I'm even inspired to continue to pursue an academic career because I really, really appreciate this idea of life projects. And I'm willing to invest all my energy in doing real life and solving real life problems together with my students.
The changes I want to see is that transformation of space is made through a process that is more transparent and inclusive. This is the change I want to see. I think that I knew my role, and the project basically helped to fulfill it. There is this ambition, and maybe I would focus an effort on getting this recognition for PhD coordination, and I need to write a solid paper on how I would coordinate PhDs. So I am now at the end of the project. I think that I could play a role into encouraging more PhD students to work on processes in space transformation. So I guess the Urban Education Live project helped me to raise my ambition and dare to think of this role for me.